Hey, what's up guys, it's ElasticSpyder here, and in today's video we are going to be looking at the USS Black. It is going to be a review this time. It's been a while since we did a review, but nonetheless I think it's time to showcase this great ship. So, now that the Black is currently, well, let's see, now that it's currently 14,000 steel, and if you use your coupons, then it gets down to an even more insane price. 25% of that is a little over 10K. So, with that being said, what does the ship have to offer? Well, it's an interesting ship. Now, some of you guys might already have it. If you don't, it's got a very nice camouflage, nice white, but a very interesting ship, and something that, if you are a fan of the Fletcher, you will be kind of both. You'll be satisfied, but also feeling a little empty too. So, in today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the statistics first, and then we'll get into some gameplay. So, the statistics. Well, we're looking at some good hit points. Now, this is with a captain, but I'll actually be comparing this to the Fletcher. But they both have stock 17,100 hit points. Armor is pretty much the same since they are a Fletcher. The only difference here in terms of artillery is that the Black has slightly less range, only 100 meters, but again, that's not the biggest of deals, which is interesting because they shoot the same gun. They are the same gun, and they shoot the same ammo, so it's a bit interesting there. Torpedoes is where it starts to get very, very interesting. So the Fletcher torpedoes are a very nice torpedo. It's a 10.5 kilometer range, 66 knots, very, very nice, very low detectability, and with my setup, and as most of you know, I like to run a more AA heavy setup, but if we do use torpedo reload, that knocks off another 15% off of 95 seconds, which we're sitting right around just a little over 70 seconds. So if you do decide to do that, it has a very nice reload on the torpedoes, whereas the Black, well, 73 seconds, and that is with torpedo reload and torpedo armament expertise, both of which have that. If we're looking at stock, the Black does have a slightly shorter reload time at 96 seconds versus the Fletcher at 106. In terms of damage, the maximum damage that the Black's torpedoes are slightly better at 21,600 versus 19,033 on the Fletcher. Of course, the one thing that is nice about the Black is that it's got 13.7 kilometer range on its torpedoes, and it also has 0.9 kilometer detectability. The only downside is that they only go at 43 knots, whereas the Fletchers go at 66, like I said earlier. This tends to put you in situations where you think that you're going to hit a target with your torpedo, because the gray indicator says that he's turning out, and then you're gonna preemptively launch them, but they just don't get there in time. So that is the major downfall to the Black, and it is something that normal Fletcher players are very not used to, and they really don't enjoy it, and that's me included. However, as you'll see in the gameplay later, having 3 or 4 sets of torpedoes in the water, and you can just kind of dump them, kind of like Shima 20 KMs. They sometimes you forget where your torpedoes are going, so we'll see some of that in the gameplay though. But overall, it's just a different play style in terms of torpedoes. It's way more shoot and forget, and I'll leave it at that. AA in terms of the Black, the long range is still the same. So if you do, for whatever reason, want to run an AA build on the Black, you are still going to get the benefit of long-range AA, being still that same, I think it's 64, it looks like. Fletcher is going to be a little bit better, but that's where a lot of your DPS comes from, especially with defensive fire. But in a second, we'll get into why that's probably not a good idea on the Black. In terms of the rest of the AA, Black does have slight advantage in short range, but again, the DPS there is pretty low, and in the mid range, it is definitely lacking. And then maneuverability's pretty much the same. The only difference being that the Black goes at 35 knots compared to the Fletchers, and this is with speed flag, but base 35 knots versus 36.5. So it is a little bit slower, but 1.5 knots isn't usually a big deal, and especially with when I go over the consumables, you'll kind of see why that 1.5 kilometer knot speed doesn't really make a difference. Concealment is exactly the same. So now let's get into the consumables. So damage control as standard, USN smoke as standard. Now here's the options that you get. Engine boost, debatable why you would even use that. Defensive fire, if you do for whatever reason want to run an AA build on the Black, maybe it's your Fletcher captain, maybe it's your kid captain, maybe it's your I don't even know captain. That's an option, not recommended though. Obviously the point of the Black is that it's got radar, and 7.5 kilometer radar with I've got some notes here, 20-second action time. If you do have the radar mod like I do, it goes up to 24, an extra 4 seconds, maybe a couple extra shell hits, at least from you, maybe also from your teammates too. So that is the big thing there. And then, of course, I'm just going to go over my cabin perks and modules, because why not? Main armaments mod 1, radar mod, then accuracy. Again, if you're running AA, you can do that. Not recommended. Now, since I don't use speed boost, I prefer propulsion. With 3-second rudder shift, that is more than enough, in my opinion. Concealment modification, of course, you want to be running that, especially with that 7.5 kilometer radar. You get a nice 5.8 kilometer detectability because of that, and then you can really surprise a lot of destroyers. And then finally, torpedo tubes. Now, the torpedo tubes are a bit questionable. The main battery is always very nice, but again, you'll see in the gameplay why I'm at least leaning towards torpedo mod. For that reason, I guess I'll go over my captain build too. I don't know exactly. It looks like this is my gearing captain, so it kind of built for Clan Wars a little bit. But we're looking at priority target, last stand, superintendents, so we get extra charges. Then concealment. Then I would say another core skill for American destroyers, and pretty much all destroyers for that matter, except for I guess more gunboat-esque destroyers, is torpedo armor expertise. Then I picked up survivability expert, so I get a little bit more HP, and then basic firing training. Alternatively, you could also get adrenaline rush instead of something like survivability expert, and then maybe get preventative maintenance instead. So that is my build. I hope I didn't take too long, and I hope you guys are still watching the video. If you want to skip to the gameplay, I'll leave a timestamp, but let's get into that right about now. Alright guys, so looking at the gameplay here, we've got a very nice view of this ship. It is a good looking ship. It is a Fletcher class destroyer at the end of the day, and boy, 666 never looks so good. Anyways, let's get back into it. So I am playing in the Black, obviously. Sneaky Snake is playing his Buffalo, which before this game, he told me, man, Spider, I haven't been playing well in the Black. I need some help. I said, well, let me just play my overpowered Black. And, well, hopefully he does well in this game. I know for sure that I will do well. So, the Black, what are we up against? Well, tier 10 matchmaking, not ideal. Carriers in the game, again, very not ideal. You don't want that. But we're looking at Chungmu, Cab, Shima, gearing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 radars. So, as a destroyer, I'm I'm thinking this is probably the worst thing. And I believe at the start of this replay, Sneaky said, he says, "What is this matchmaking? 2 battleships, it looks like 5 cruisers and 4 destroyers, and then a carrier. What is this? This is probably the worst matchmaking." And he's in a cruiser, and I'm in a destroyer, which isn't much better. But either way, we're going to see what we can do here. I don't want to touch this cap initially. I want to see where everything's going. So I noticed Shima and Gearing are out wide. And then I also see right about now that the Chungmu is right there. Carrier spotted him, which is nice. And I'm going to go contest. So it's a bit of a risky move. The first stages of the game being this aggressive, going into B. But here we go, Chungmu 1v1. Here I probably could smoke up and radar, but I decided, oh, I guess I don't. I thought I didn't. But I'm gonna smoke up. Probably should have done a little bit earlier. The carrier comes in, bombs him, and I'm just going to go to town. This guy's still spotted by the planes, and oh, what? Not sure how that happened, but I'm just going to keep going. I haven't used my radar yet. I haven't panicked. No reason to panic. But I'm just going to gun this guy down. And as soon as he gets out of radar, gets out of range, well, I'm going to not even use it because I can just shoot him either way. So, again, I haven't used my radar. I'm not OP yet. Had I decided to, yeah, I could do that. I could be OP, but I decided otherwise. So, is the Black OP? Well, as we can see, it's not. It's just a Fletcher. That's how I've been playing it. It's just a Fletcher. The only thing that would potentially make it OP is the fact that you've got the combination of both radar and smoke at the same time. But radar on a destroyer within itself does not make something OP. That is, it just doesn't work that way in my opinion. So here I'm gonna pull a potato move, not paying attention to the counter, just paying attention to my torpedo indicator and trying to see where the enemy is going. And again, in this situation, I don't really have a choice as to what I can do. And then here we go. Oh, with only 2 seconds left. And then I don't even realize it. I was talking to Sneaky. I'm like, oh, I just realized we don't have B. So I should have waited an extra second, paying more attention to the counter. And hopefully that's not costing my team, because we have 2 destroyers down. And we are down by 112 points and counting, which is, of course, very not good. But I do get a torped. Like I said, remember what I said? I launched those torpedoes probably almost 2 minutes ago, and I finally got a hit. And I was on a Buffalo that decided to go into A, and I didn't even expect those torps to hit. I completely forgot about it. And this is the thing. I can have, if you time it perfectly, you could probably have 4 torpedo sets in the ocean at a time. And when you think about it, it's hard to think about. But when you think about how slow they are, it starts to really dawn on you that these torpedoes are very, very slow. The other thing is that since they are slow, you can't really fire torps at people like you normally would. And of course I get radared by the Worcester here, so I'm just gonna have to kite out, wiggle my little booty, and using my good maneuverability and the fact that Worcester can't hit anything outside of 10 kilometers, because that's just how Worcesters are, and American light cruisers in general. So now that guy is kiting away, I can go recap B, which I should have done about 2 minutes ago. But good news. Torpedoes are back up. So time to send them into A. Really, these torpedoes, the way you use them is you just sit at range and then just throw torpedoes in the water. Like, you see me targeting people here, don't even do that. I can't even recommend it, honestly. I can't recommend throwing, you know, even targeting people. The reason being is that there's no need to, because no matter what they're doing now, you know, if you're using Fletcher torpedoes, if they're whatever they're doing now, you have to estimate and make an educated guess on what they're going to be do 30 seconds from now when your torpedoes actually reach them. But with the black torpedoes, good luck trying to guess where people are moving to. You'd have to be playing like basically 5D chess in order to comprehend that amount of knowledge and predictability and all this other stuff. So my tip for playing the black and using its torpedoes is just fire them into just random areas. Like you saw there, that Buffalo and that Gearing were kind of in A. So area denial is what I'm trying to say. Use them for area denial. Eventually they'll get there, but sooner or later is better than never. So I'm going to open up here. I don't know how this Gearing is still spotted. I guess he doesn't have concealment expert or something. Again, I haven't used my radar at all. Pretty much just complete outplayed here. He does get a nice shot on me there for 3,300 damage, which is a little bit more than I expected, but that's still okay. I did finally manage to get the B cap, and then now I'm going to go hunt these guys at A. One, because, well, I do believe the, oh baby, it's going to be a close one. No, we're good. I do believe the Donskoy did take a few hits, and I really don't want to fight a potential Worcester in the cap, and also a Khabarovsk, so I decide that Zhao and North Carolina are a better option. But again, I'm thus far haven't used a radar. I've used one smoke, but I haven't used it in combination. So this is like, and again, some random torpedoes. I see that the Zhao's turning out. I'm not even aiming. I mean, I was at the time aiming at the Zhao, but North Carolina is also gonna go there too. So just dumping completely anticipatory torpedoes. Just even if they miss, like, I don't care. I'm just dumping them for the sake of dumping them. And that's another thing you'll notice too, is your hit ratio in the black is going to be severely lower than any other destroyer, just due to the simple fact of them being so slow. So Essex gets spotted by, it looks like, enemy aircraft, so I'm going to open up. There's nothing that's really challenging me here, so I'm going to use the island and just pelt this guy into oblivion. Oh, so-called oblivion. So, as we're starting to wrap up this video here, and I'm just basically farming this, we'll also get to see some AA usage here. As I'm just, you know, constantly shooting at this Essex. What do I think about the black? Well, since I did get it from a reward, or as a reward ship from winning 5 seasons of ranked, I can't say, I mean, for the time that I spent, it was probably worth it. It's not the biggest of deals. So here I'm in a bit of a predicament. Gotta slow down, but turn in for the torpedoes, and while dodging the Zhao. Do a nice job. The cap isn't very important, but once I see that I'm safe-ish, I'm gonna go and start farming this guy. I do believe I will use my radar here in a little bit just to spot this guy. But sorry, what I was getting to. So since I got it as a ranked reward, again, it wasn't something like that I had to work really hard for. I spent a lot of like time grinding. But now that it's available in the arsenal for 14,000 steel, or, you know, if you got the coupon, then just over 10, then it's, I don't know. I can't say. I can't say. It's really hard to say whether or not it's worth it now. Back in the day when, you know, you just had to win 5 seasons of ranked, it wasn't that hard, and I would definitely recommend, you know, at least trying to get it if you can stand ranked. But now I just don't know if it's worth it. For this game, I have all sorts of flags and consumables, or signal flags and camos, trying to boost my XP. So you'll see in a little bit when we go over the post-battle results how, I guess, inflated it could be. But here on the Zao, you kind of saw there, it looked like he maybe wanted to push in, but again, my torpedoes just being area denial, and basically just not letting this guy move out, because every time he tries to move out, he has to dodge my torpedoes, and then, you know, he has to reverse, and then, well, then by the time he starts getting going again, then my second set of torpedoes comes, and he has to slow down, turn in, blah, 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 rinse and repeat, that sort of thing. And, you know, he just does not have the ability to counter me in any sort of way because of my torpedoes. So, again, if these were Fletcher torpedoes, then, you know, it might be not as difficult to dodge these. But it's the other thing too is people just underestimate. These things are slow. They're very, very slow. You know, they take forever to reach. You know, that guy was like 7 kilometers away, 6.5 kilometers away, and my torpedoes still aren't there. So just that simple fact that sometimes people just completely forget how slow they are and overthink, you know, their turns and whatnot. But, so, again, not to kill a dying dog, but I guess that's another one of my interesting sayings. This ship probably isn't worth it for the majority of people that are looking to maybe get it. Yeah, sure, it's kind of fun and somewhat OP with the radar. However, now with the Pan-Asian destroyers getting radar, and oh boy, I almost got outplayed here by that Zao. Now with Pan-Asian destroyers in the game, it's radar on a destroyer, again, within itself is not, I would say, broken. The combination is, though, and that's basically the thing that you're looking at when you are getting the Black, is that combination of smoke and radar. That makes it very, very powerful. But again, at the end of the day, it's just a Fletcher with, in some cases, arguably worse, and in some cases, arguably better torpedoes. Certainly worse AA, yeah, but again, it's all down to the consumables and how you like to play your American destroyers. I tend to like to play my Fletcher as a support ship, and a ship that is constantly moving around and pretty AA heavy for the most part. But if you like more of a torpedo boat, then maybe this is the ship for you, especially if you don't mind slower torpedoes. I don't really like slower torpedoes, but I have to say that, though, the 13.7 kilometer torpedo range, or 13.7 kilometer torpedo range is very, very nice, especially when dealing with a lot of radar like we have here. And, you know, I only managed 2 torpedo hits, but nonetheless, they still counted, and I'm still at 110,000 damage. So, you know, it's not all about the torps in this thing. It is also about the guns. At the end of the day, it's a Fletcher. So, and if you want, you can even use main battery reload. I probably wouldn't recommend it because I don't even use that on my Fletcher. I know I use AA, but I still wouldn't recommend it on the Fletcher. Yeah, so I would say this ship's probably not worth 14,000, 10,000 steel. At least not steel. Coal, it's then, you know, it's a tier 9 ship for, you know, I don't even know what the conversion between coal and steel would be, but whatever it is, maybe it would be worth it. But At its current state, probably not. Unless you really, really like Fletcher class destroyers and want, I guess, a different variation. So here I'm just trying to kill this out. He's on 581 HP, and this is kind of where the ship struggles. You know, I'm not having a hard time hitting him, but like dealing damage is another thing. Of course, someone steals a kill. So before the replay ended, I just wanted to say, you saw how hard I was, you know, trying to deal damage to that saturated Zao, even at 7 kilometers. And so at the end of the day, when you're looking at this and you're saying, oh, you know, it's got smoke and radar, it's kind of OP against destroyers, and I would say, yeah, you're probably right. But just imagine a wiggling destroyer at trying to hit that at 7 kilometers, and he's saturated. You're not going to be doing a lot of damage to him, especially with these more floaty shell arcs that this quote-unquote Fletcher has. So just keep that in mind also if you are still considering maybe getting it. But looking at the post-battle results, 1 million credits, which is nice, 16,000 XP, 3,000 free XP, 123,000 damage, not bad. A lot of shell hits, though. Did a lot more gunning than I did torpedoing, but I did end up shooting down some planes, 6 planes there, and 3 ships killed, with 2 solo base captures, one of which should have happened 2 to 3 minutes before it did, rather. But nonetheless, a very good game. Team score-wise, 3,100 base XP, very, very nice. Sneaky Snake, well, sorry, buddy. I from one OP ship to another. Well, looks like I bested you in this one. But he ended up doing quite well, just shy of 2K base XP. But, you know, like we said in the early stages of the game, this matchmaking wasn't the best with so many destroyers and a carrier and only 2 battleships to farm. So, but in the bad matchmaking that we did have, you can kind of see the results of it, you know, between, you know, fighting other destroyers and not even using the radar and smoke combination, by the way. And, you know, also, you know, fighting against other cruisers at, or enemy cruisers at these shorter distances where you can smoke up and just go to town on them, or even carriers that kind of misplay a bit. But nonetheless, here are the detailed statistics. Only damaged 5 different ships, but again, 20k to a gearing, and then or I guess maybe I did get a torpedo hit on the gearing, not the Buffalo, because it doesn't. No, I didn't get a hit on the Buffalo at all. So it's actually the gearing, and then 12k to the Chung Mu. Zao nearly 36k, pretty much all his health. Essex half his health. North Carolina about a third as well. So very nice game there. And then, of course, I do have Zulu flag. Premium camo does help with service cost a bit, but at the end of the day, this ammunition will cost you quite a bit because you are sending out a lot of torpedoes. Does it say how many torpedoes we sent out? Let's see here. Torpedoes, we launched 85 torpedoes, so that's 8.5 or 9, 8.5 full set, whatever. 85 divided by 5, whatever. I can't do quick math, but nice game overall. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment what you guys think about the Black. If you have the Black, what are your thoughts on it? I've kind of tried to explain my thoughts using statistics and also my personal experiences, so I hope you guys enjoyed that and enjoyed the gameplay. And it's been a while since we did a review, so I hope this was a good return to those. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like, subscribe. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys later.